Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the American University Career Center and Human Resources Department for today's Student Jobs How to Find Part-Time Employment webinar. Today's workshop will focus specifically on ways to find paid part-time employment, specifically at American University and within organizations that surround American University. Our goal for today is to provide you with the tips and resources necessary to find paid part-time employment that fits within your campus and class schedules. And before we jump in for today, I would like to introduce myself and my colleague, April. My name is Darnise Samuel, and I am the Program Manager of Job Location and Development at the Central Career Center on AU's campus. And I primarily work on the Employer Relations team, where my primary focus is helping students find paid part-time employment and to manage relationships with employers who offer those opportunities. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, April.
Hi everyone, my name is April Ruiz-Gomez. I'm the Experiential Learning Specialist at the Central AU Career Center with Darnise. And I primarily focus on experiential learning, internships, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah.
Great. So we would jump right in. So just a quick overview of what we will touch on in today's presentation, a few definitions that are relevant to the part-time job search. We'll cover off-campus jobs when it comes to the resources and tips necessary for your off-campus job search, as well as the resources and tips for on-campus job search, resources that will help you in the process, and some final search tips. So just to cover a few definitions that you need to know. First is the term part-time, which is generally working fewer than 30 hours a week, depending on the business. So that can range based on where you're working, the amount of hours you may work at an organization. But typically, most students work between 5 to 12 hours per week, again, to consider their campus and class schedules. We have to keep that in mind as a student. Your class schedules do come first. So with that being said, a lot of times your part-time work may range from 5 to 12 hours. And we just like to emphasize that students, specifically on AU's campus, cannot work past 20 hours per week. Secondly is minimum wage, which is the lowest wage per hour that a worker may be paid as mandated by law. So if you see here on the screen, these are the minimum per hour wages for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. DC 17.95, Maryland 15 per hour, and this may vary based on the specific county that you are working in as well as company size, and then Virginia 12.41. And these are all the minimum wages as of July 2025, and minimum wages may differ for tipped employees like servers. And then last but not least is Federal Work Study. This is a federal program that provides access to part-time jobs for students with financial needs. Work Study is awarded as a part of your financial aid package. So if you are unsure of whether or not you have a Federal Work Study Award, we do encourage you to contact the Office of Financial Aid, and they can help you determine your status.
So just some questions to ask yourself before you start your job hunt. First, as Darnise mentioned earlier, you should figure out if you have a Federal Work Study Award. And you can do that by contacting the Office of Financial Aid to figure out whether you have accepted it, whether it's in your profile, just to make sure that you are able to work a FWS position on campus. You also want to know or want to think about how you want to work, right? Do you want to work occasionally? You all have busy class schedules. Trying to figure that out, where can I fit in hours on campus, off campus, is really something you have to think about before you apply for jobs. You're also got to think about what kind of transportation do I have? A car, a bus, the train. We have a beautiful metro system in the DC area. And so how are you going to be able to get to your job? And this also, in thinking about this, you're also going to want to think about where is the job that I am applying for. If it's on campus, sure, we have shuttles. You can walk to work if you're living on campus. But if you're, trying to get a job in downtown DC, how am I going to be able to get to my job, and how much time am I going to need to get to my job in the morning? And you also want to think about the modality of what you are, the jobs you're applying for. Do you want to work an in-person, a remote, or a hybrid job? And all of these part-time jobs that we have or that will be posted onto Workday will have these kind of formats. So these are just some questions that you want to think about before you look for employment. And we also have the ISSS office on the fourth floor Butler Pavilion. So for any international students who are watching this seminar right now, a webinar, I should say, please reach out to an ISSS advisor to discuss when and under what circumstances you can be eligible for employment. We know that there are different kinds of visas that students may be on. So the best shot is to just shoot them an email. They will respond usually in 24 hours. But if you'd like to go in person, they're fourth floor Butler Pavilion. They're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So yeah, and I'll pass it back to Darnise.
Great. Thank you, April. So to touch on a little bit of the off-campus job search, there are a couple of resources that you have access to as an AU student to help you with that search and with that process. And the resources are listed here, and I'll briefly go through each, starting off with Handshake, which is our primary career management platform, which you can access by logging in with your AU credentials. Handshake is used for a variety of things, such as looking for jobs, not only part-time jobs, but internships as well as full-time roles. Networking with employers and other peers on the platform. You can message people through the platform, as well as signing up for different events that are hosted through our office, as well as events that our external employer partners do post on Handshake for students to register for and attend. So Handshake is used for a wide variety of things. It is a very helpful tool, and we highly encourage you to use that in your part-time job search. And to look specifically for part-time jobs on Handshake, you do so by clicking the Jobs tab, and you can filter based on your different preferences. So you can filter part-time, select your preferred location, or if you prefer remote opportunities. And then don't forget to also select paid if you are looking for paid part-time work. When you select paid, all of those options will populate for you. Secondly, on the list here is Parker Dewey, which is a third-party organization that our Career Center is partnered with that offers micro internships. And micro internships are short-term paid professional assignments that allow students to demonstrate skills and build their network with different employers. And through this platform, you will have access to a wide range of short-term projects and things, employment opportunities that you can potentially complete within, it could be between 10 to 40 hours of work, ranging between a couple of days or within a couple of weeks. But again, there's short, quick, part-time work assignments that you can get done. And this is through Parker Dewey. It's just a great way to get exposure to different types of employment opportunities because you're not making a full commitment to these assignments. And with that, some of the projects that we've noticed that are posted on the platform fall within areas of market research, social media management, data analysis, and so forth. Third on the list here is the Public Service Work Study Program, which is administered by AU's Office of Financial Aid. And the work study program provides part-time jobs for undergraduate and graduate students, specifically off campus. So any student who has a federal work study award are eligible to apply for opportunities through the Public Service Work Study Program. And again, these are off-campus opportunities. And to find these positions that fall under the Public Service Work Study Program, you would find them by navigating on Handshake, going to the Jobs tab, and in the search bar, if you type PSWSP, which is the acronym for this program, students who have a federal work study award are the ones who can open these opportunities and can see them on Handshake. Fourth on the list is our local employers map, which is a map that you can find on Handshake under the Resources tab. And this map essentially highlights many employers near AU and within neighboring areas of AU, such as Tenleytown, Friendship Heights, Spring Valley, and so forth. And this tool is just used to highlight employers within the area that offer paid part-time work. So it'll direct you to those employers and then to their websites to see what opportunities that they are recruiting for. And then the final resource on this list is DC Reads, which I will talk about in the next slide. And DC Reads is an education advocacy program that places undergrad and graduate students in DC public schools to support youth education. Typically, the work hours range from 4 to 6 hours a week, but can go up to 10 hours per week. And DC Reads is often looking for students who can commit to at least serving for one full semester, but ideally a full year would be great, as DC Reads does recruit during the spring, summer, and fall semesters. So they're usually recruiting at the beginning of each semester. And I'd like to make note that through DC Reads, you have volunteer opportunities available, as well as part-time jobs that are eligible for federal work studies students. So if you have a federal work study award, you can apply to be a DC Reads tutor. And listed here are a couple of the community partnered schools that DC Reads typically partners with. And if you have any questions, you can contact DC Reads directly at the email listed below. And you can find all DC Read postings on Handshake, again, at the beginning of each semester, as well as on the web pages of the Center for Leadership and Community Engagement. And I will pass it back to April to cover a few on-campus job tips and resources.
Yeah, so I will talk about some student on-campus jobs, just some background about that right now. So all student positions are posted on the AU careers page found at american.edu/student-jobs. And like I said before, it is important before you look for jobs to think about your availability and days, but also if you have a federal work study position, or if for international students, if you want to visit the ISSS office before, just to make sure that's clear. Another thing you also might want to think about is some programs like the Washington College of Law have restrictions on the number of hours that a student can work while maintaining their full-time student status. So just be sure to review any guidance provided by your program or visit with your advisor to learn of any restrictions. And so where you will apply for your jobs is our Workday platform, which you can find on the student jobs page. And a part of the application process that is really important is a resume and a cover letter. A resume gives you an opportunity to highlight your backgrounds and experiences. And these don't just need to be paid jobs that you've had in the past, but these can include work with community service organizations or student clubs on campus. And it's really great to give those kinds of experiences as well on your resume to give a full picture of who you are as a potential employee. And a cover letter will give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the hiring manager and note your availability and any other details that really make you stand out as the best candidate for their position. One very important item to note is that if you already have a job on campus, i.e. you are filling out a timesheet and receiving a paycheck from American University, then you must, I'll repeat, must apply as an internal candidate from your Workday, profile via the Jobs Hub. So if you're looking to switch to a different position within the university, or maybe pick up a few additional hours with another job, then you apply via the Workday Jobs Hub found in your Workday portal. If you are new to working at American University, meaning you've never had a job at AU before, then you will apply from the AU careers page as an external applicant. After submitting your application, many hiring managers will want to set up an interview. These can be in person or virtual. And if this is your first time interviewing for a job, as we'll talk about later, feel free to visit us at the Career Center and schedule a practice session. And we'll talk about some resources later on how you can practice interviews. And don't forget to send a thank you note after the interview. It makes a strong impression on the person who is interviewing you. And you can also use that thank you note as a way to clear up anything that you maybe wish you had said differently in the interview. So just to wrap up with the on-campus jobs portion of our webinar, there are some pieces of paperwork, documentations that you will need to go through as you're onboarded as staff. So you'll need to complete an I-9, and you'll also need to complete other paperwork like W-2 tax forms, and you'll also need to set up direct deposit on Workday. HR does a really great job of walking you through each of these requirements. and they send emails with guidance, but please keep an eye out on your email and your Workday profile for important communication. And of course, HR is always ready to support you throughout the entire onboarding process, and they're here to help. So we will now talk about some resources that we have at the Career Center, but also the university as a whole. And some of the resources or the hubs of the resources that we have at the university are the three career centers on campus. So first we have the Central Career Center, which is on the fifth floor of Butler Pavilion, where Darnise and I work. And people are there to help you with any kind of part of the job process, the job hunt process. And the same goes for business students. You have a separate career center at the Kogod Career Development Office in Kogod, and the SIS Office of Career Development, which serves juniors, seniors, and graduate students in SIS, can help you with parts of the job hunt as well. Now, what can you do at a career center? Well, at a career center, you can meet with a career advisor. Career advisors are here to help you with any kind of part of the job process. If you need someone to look at a resume, a cover letter, do interview prep, all that kind of stuff, help you, give you strategies on finding positions that you might want to apply for. A career advisor can help with all of that. And how can you meet with a career advisor? Well, you can make an appointment on Handshake, or you can drop into some of these offices. And what can they do? You have any questions about the research, resume, cover letter review, interview practice, and advisors can help you obtain any sort of employment. They will not just, or they can help you with kind of the big picture. This is what I want to do as a career kind of jobs, those internships where you're in your field, but they can also help you find a position, a part-time position like the ones we are talking about today. And finally, we also have some online tools. So I'll just go down the list. Alumni Fire. Alumni Fire helps you connect with AU alumni across the country, sometimes around the world. And the fun thing about Alumni Fire is that the people who are on the website, the alumni who are active on the website, have opted into this. So they are basically saying, we want to help AU students. So they are completely open to helping you. So on Alumni Fire, you can shoot them a message and they can give you advice or do anything that answer questions that you might have. Interstride is an international friendly service, and you can find positions in which international students can apply in the US and beyond. LinkedIn Learning, they have 15,000 video courses where you can learn all types of different professional development skills, and you have access to that as an AU student. And Big Interview, where you can practice your interview skills by recording answers to questions and receive feedback on your performance within those interviews. So a lot of interesting resources. And once again, if you have any questions about these resources, or if you want to, work on how to use them in the most advantageous way, feel free to make an appointment with a career advisor at your respective career center. So I will toss it back to Darnise now.
Thank you, April. So to continue on with some of the resources that are available to you as an AU student are also campus events. And these events are typically hosted by our career office. And I'll just quickly go through some of the opportunities that you have as a student that you can participate in, starting off with employer meetups. These are 1-hour information sessions that can be held in person or virtually, where we host employer partners to share more about their brand, share employment opportunities they may be recruiting for. And it's just a great way to connect and make that personal connection with an employer when they come specifically to meet with AU students. Secondly is our employer in residence program, which is an opportunity to chat with employers in a one-on-one setting. These are typically informational chats, but sometimes employers are also recruiting and may mention some opportunities that they're recruiting for during these one-on-one chats. And this is a very popular program, both on the employer and student side. So we do post these opportunities on Handshake, and they are given on a first come, first served basis. So if you see an employer, when we promote opportunities for the employer residence program that you're interested in, we do encourage you to mark that date of when slots open because they go quick. Third is our employer pop-up tables program, where employers come to campus and they're place in the Mary Graydon Student Center mainly on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like in the middle of the day. And they are there to connect with AU students and again promote maybe opportunities they're recruiting for and just get to know you. So this is a more informal setting where if you're just walking by in the center, you stop by a table, chat, get your questions answered, and maybe pick up some swag along the way. Fourth here is site visits. And site visits are where we organize opportunities for students to go to the physical location of some of our employer partners to learn more about their organization and just, again, be in their physical space to be able to connect with those employers and see how they work and what their work environment looks like and how their day-to-day is. And some site visits we've hosted in the past include like the CIA, Gallup, World Bank, Environmental Protection Agency, and so forth. So that's also a fun way to engage and get to know employers. We also offer job and internship fairs, which we host every spring and fall semester. And this is our biggest events of the year usually. And we have over between 50 to 100 employers can be at these fairs ready to connect with you all. So that's just another way to connect with a variety of employers at one time. And then last but not least is our career education programming, which is offered from our career advisors in our office. They usually put these on to educate AU students on different career related topics, whether that be preparing you for the job and internship fairs, giving salary negotiation tips, helping you prepare for mock interviews and so forth. So again, these are all available to you, and these opportunities are often posted on Handshake. They're also included in our weekly newsletters that we send out to students every Monday of the week. So tune in and make sure you're receiving all this information. And we're going to finish our webinar today with just some final tips that you can take away, starting off with just applying early and often. When applying for part-time work, the early bird gets the worm. So that just means you need to apply early. As soon as you see applications opening, apply as soon as you can, because employers are reviewing those applications as soon as they come in. So you want to be the first applications that they do come across and see. And this gives you a competitive edge as well. And then just apply consistently and often. This just builds your momentum within the application process. When you're applying often, you get used to the application process and you get used to interviewing and just becoming more confident and comfortable with that process. So, it's great to set goals of how many jobs you may want to apply for in a specific week and keep track of those applications so that you can follow up with employers, which is our next tip here, to follow up with the specific departments or companies you apply for. So when you keep track of what you're applying to, you can maybe follow up with the employer within the next 2 weeks if you haven't heard back from them, to inquire about your application. Following up just shows that you are proactive and genuinely interested in the job role. And we also encourage you to just reach out to the hiring managers or departments if possible, not just the HR department. Yes, reaching out to the HR department might be great, but it's also nice to reach out to who's actually hiring for the role and making that connection and showing your interest in that way as well. Thirdly, ask around your network. So tap into your existing networks, whether that's professors, your classmates, advisors, family, or even reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to network. That's a very important part of the job search. So even a simple, if you even want to post on LinkedIn, posting, hey, I'm looking for a part-time position in public relations, like just putting yourself out there so people can see that you're looking, and often people are happy to help and assist those who are interested in work. And also, don't be afraid to ask for information or interviews or referrals. Again, most people are often happy to help those who are interested in finding employment, as long as you approach them professionally and respectfully. And you can find part-time employment resources on our AU Students Jobs page. I know we've mentioned it previously in the webinar, but we can't mention it enough. At american.edu/student jobs, you can find on-campus roles as well as resources to help you find off-campus roles for your part-time job search.